I have to say, for maybe the first time in this entire series, I am confused. I just don't know what really happened at the Mirror of Galadriel. Maybe I'm overanalyzing it and it's really much simpler than I'm making it out to be. Or maybe it's way more complicated and I just need to have a better understanding of language in order to do so. But there are just some weird things that happen that I don't have the answers for. Like, where did this mirror come from? She breathed on this water, poured it out, and Sam looked in it, but how does she have this power? Is the mirror itself the one that has the power, or is Galadriel, who is using the water, is she the one who has the power? I actually kind of love this soft system of magic that Tolkien has set up too. And don't mistake me being confused for me being just frustrated. I'm not frustrated, I'm confused in a really good way, and that this is mystical and ethereal, and I just think it's kind of fun that I'm confused. And while I'd love some answers, I think Tolkien also does an excellent job in this section of meshing a beautiful chapter with the reconciliation of dwarves and elves with Gimli and Galadriel, with the abstract and visionary and fogginess of the mirror and the things that Frodo and Sam saw in it. So let's break it down. And as always, before I do, make sure you like the video and subscribe, as I am going through The Lord of the Rings for the first time and publishing my thoughts in the form of video essays. So if that's your tomato, sausages, and nice crispy bacon, make sure you subscribe. And you can also support this channel by donating for a video if you really like it, or by becoming a member, which will give you early access to the videos as well as some members-only content that is coming out soon. And the potential for joining a book club too, which I'm hoping to start as soon as we get enough members. I'm also going to do some Brandon Sanderson stuff and Harry Potter in the next few weeks too, so if you are into that, make sure you subscribe. So, this is the introduction to the mirror, and again, this is going to be one of those essays where I'm just thinking out loud, so bear with me. This is what it says. Down a long flight of steps, the lady went into the green hollow, through which ran murmuring the silver stream that issued from the fountains on the hill. At the bottom, upon a low pedestal carved like a branching tree, stood a basin of silver, wide and shallow, and beside it stood a silver ewer. With water from the stream, Galadriel filled the basin to the brim and breathed on it. And when the water was still again, she spoke. "Here is the mirror of Galadriel," she said. "I have brought you here so that you may look in it, if you will." So, right before this, they're talking about how they haven't seen Galadriel in a while, and she just appears and leads them to this place. She fills the basin with water from the stream, blows on it, and she says that she brought them here, which is kind of weird as well, seeing that they were just kind of on a walk. It seems a little dark, and maybe I'm simple-minded because I actually love the little translation issue that Galadriel has with Sam and the word magic later on. I'll talk about that in a second, because I feel like this is some weird form of magic that kind of scares me a bit. Anything mystical is so beyond my understanding. I need concrete, real, and in front of my face to be able to think. If any of you are into the Enneagram, I am an Enneagram 5, and I only deal in concrete realities. I do understand a whole mystical realm exists out there, but I don't want to mess with it. And to me, this is the first bit of real mysticism that we get in Lord of the Rings that almost seems like it's happening outside of something, or I don't know, it's just bizarre. And I know that we get mysticism before. I know Gandalf's in the story, and Elrond and Glorfindel, and the ring wraiths, and even the Barrow-wights, but that all still seemed concrete to me. This is something that seems wholly different, and I don't quite have the words for it yet. But this is the next bit of conversation, which is right before she talks to Sam about the magic stuff. The air was very still, and the dell was dark, and the elf lady beside him was tall and pale. "What shall we look for, and what shall we see?" asked Frodo, filled with awe. "Many things I can command the mirror to reveal," she answered, "and to some I can show what they desire to see. But the mirror will also show things unbidden, and those are often stranger and more profitable than things which we wish to behold. What will you see? If you leave the mirror free to work, I cannot tell. For it shows things that were, things that are, and things that yet may be. But which is it that he sees, even the wisest cannot always tell. Do you wish to look?" Frodo did not answer. So this mirror has almost no end on what you can see in it. It shows the past, present, and future, but it can also show you what you desire. It's like a better version of the Mirror of Erised in Harry Potter. In fact, it feels very much like Rowling just snatched that out from under Tolkien, and I'm sure there are some myths that Tolkien took the idea from as well. But I have to say, I don't think that I'd want to look in this mirror. I think this would only really lead to confusion about what's happening. Is the thing I'm looking at the past, present, or the future? And this is exactly what happens with Sam. And Sam, not being wise enough to discern, seems to want to run back to the Shire to figure out what is happening. But Galadriel almost doesn't let him. And again, Sam's simple-mindedness in this to me is almost perceived as wisdom. He doesn't act wisely because I have to be honest, I was shocked when Sam actually wanted to look in the mirror. He kind of seems like the kind of person who would want to stay from that stuff at all costs. But Galadriel says he does want to see elf magic. And this is their conversation. "And you," she said, turning to Sam, "for this is what your folk would call magic, I believe, though I do not understand clearly what they mean, and they seem to use the same word of the deceits of the enemy. But this, if you will, is the magic of Galadriel. Did you not say that you wish to see elf magic?" "I did," said Sam, trembling a little between fear and curiosity. "I'll have a peep, lady, if you're willing." "And I don't mind a glimpse of what's going on at home," he said in an aside to Frodo. "It seems a terrible long time that I've been away. But there, like as not, I'll only see the stars, or something that I won't understand." "Like as not," said the lady with a gentle laugh. "But come, you shall look and see what you may. Do not touch the water." So, a few things here. I love that in the common tongue that hobbits have one word for magic. There's no differentiation between good and the bad. I just feel more like a hobbit every day. Just give me a simple life. I was thinking about this as me and a friend are watching Game of Thrones, or we're rewatching it. I'm rewatching it, he's watching it for the first time. But I would be terrible at playing the Game of Thrones. I don't have the mind for that sort of thing. Just give me a quiet life in the country where I'm analyzing books, or give me like a warrior's life or something like that. The things that these leaders and these rulers and these people like Galadriel have to do is too much mental power. I tried a life of research and like a life of thought-provoking living, and I kind of realized quick that that wasn't for me. But these hobbits are my people, saying that they only have one word for magic because no matter if it's good or bad, it's still magic and it's still weird. So Sam again shocked me because he wanted to see this, but then that little repeated phrase that Galadriel said also confused me a bit. Maybe it just shows her human side a bit more and that she actually has a sense of humor over these words, but Sam saying, "like or not, I'll only see the stars," which actually gets a laugh out of Galadriel, is kind of cool, but also doesn't seem like a very funny thing to laugh at. Elves' sense of humor baffle me. They seem innocent, but almost too wise for their own good. I know they've fought, but they still seem a bit standoffish as well. I love them, especially people like Gildor and Haldir, but I gotta say, I don't know if they like me. Maybe the bottom line is I don't know if I'd want to be friends with elves. I'd constantly be doubting if they actually wanted to be my friend or not. Also, I want to know what would happen if they touched the water. I think that's a really fascinating question, but I digress. This is what Sam sees. Sam climbed up on the foot of the pedestal and leaned over the basin. The water looked hard and dark. Stars were reflected in it. "There's only stars, as I thought," he said. Then he gave a low gasp, for the stars went out, as if a dark veil had been withdrawn. The mirror grew gray, and then clear. There was sun shining, and the branches of trees were waving and tossing in the wind. But before Sam could make up his mind what it was that he saw, the lights faded. And now he thought he saw Frodo with a pale face lying fast asleep under a great dark cliff. Then he seemed to see himself going along a dim passage and climbing an endless winding stair. It came to him suddenly that he was looking urgently for something, but what it was he did not know. Like a dream, the vision shifted and went back, and he saw the trees again, but this time they were not so close, and he could not see what was going on. They were not waving in the wind, they were falling, crashing to the ground. "Aye!" cried Sam in an outraged voice. "There's that Ted Sandyman a-cutting down trees as he shouldn't. They didn't ought to be felled. It's that avenue beyond the mill that shades the road to the bywater. I wish I could get at Ted, I'd fell him." But now Sam noticed that the old mill had vanished and a large red brick building was being put up where it had stood. Lots of folk were busily at work. There was a tall red chimney nearby. Black smoke seemed to cloud the surface of the mirror. So, he sees the stars, then it appears he just sees a forest, no idea if that's the past or the present or the future. Then he sees Frodo with a pale face lying under a great cliff. And Sam is looking for something. Is this him seeing the future? Again, I know the movie, so my guess is that he's seeing the future when Shelob stabs Frodo, and that Sam needs to get the ring before the orcs come and take Frodo. But maybe the book is totally different, I don't really know. Then he sees the trees again. But now the trees are crashing to the ground. Ted Sandyman is cutting them down. Is this the present? Is this guy chopping down the trees of the forest? This feels like Hobbiton and the Shire is changing and becoming almost like a weapon for war. Because a red brick building is put up, which I have no clue how to decipher, and would probably say that it's just the industry of war. Black smoke rises and clouds the mirror. So maybe the Shire has just kind of become a manufacturing plant for Mordor. I don't know, it's just confusing to me. Then the book gives Sam's reaction, which is great. Then suddenly, Sam gave a cry and sprang away. "I can't stay here," he said wildly. "I must go home. They've dug up Bagshot Row. And there's the poor old gaffer going down the hill with his bits of things on a barrow. I must go home." "You cannot go home alone," said the lady. "You did not wish to go home without your master before you looked in the mirror, and yet you knew that evil things might well be happening in the Shire. Remember that the mirror shows many things, and not all have yet come to pass. Some never come to be, unless those that behold the visions turn aside from their path to prevent them. The mirror is dangerous as a guide of deeds." Sam sat on the ground and put his head in his hands. "I wish I had never come here. I don't want to see no more magic," he said, and he fell silent. After a moment, he spoke again thickly, as if struggling with tears. "No, I'll go home by the long road with Mr. Frodo, or not at all," he said. "But I hope I do get back someday. If what I've seen turns out true, somebody's got to catch it hot." I love that. It's incredible. And again, this is something that I talked about in a previous video, but Sam seems to be giving up everything he loves most dearly in his devotion to follow Frodo to Mordor. And the words of Galadriel here with, "Some never come to be, unless those that behold the visions turn aside from their path to prevent them," that line drives me crazy. Because then what is the purpose of this mirror? If it's showing things in the future, it just seems to be like a warning device to show them what they already know. That if they fail terribly, things will happen to Middle-earth that are beyond disgusting and awful. Maybe they just need a more harrowing reminder of that, and maybe Galadriel is just showing them this in order to kind of kick them out of Lothlorien, where they love and they could probably stay forever. But for me, it doesn't seem wise to look into this mirror. Just such a weird thing to think about. I think they already know the stakes, but maybe I'm just kind of inputting my own understanding onto the story of these characters. I don't know. Maybe they really don't know and they need to get that awakening and that fire lit under them. But anyway, now Frodo looks, and his vision is like 2 pages, so I won't read that. But he sees a few things. The first is mountains in which a figure rises up, and he was not sure if it was Gandalf or Saruman. I'd probably say that it's the resurrected Gandalf here. Maybe Frodo is seeing into what the gods of Middle-earth are plotting and sending Gandalf back, like the second book will have, but it's a strange vision. I don't know why he'd be seeing Saruman, other than perhaps showing Frodo what the turmoil of Middle-earth is currently looking like. I don't know. The second vision is Bilbo, just walking around his room restlessly. And I love that he gets a glimpse into Bilbo here. This is just one that seems nice because Frodo really loves the old man, and maybe he's just got a window into Bilbo's current situation of trying to figure out a lyric to a good song that he's coming up with. And then at the end, Frodo sees another vision where he's kind of like part of the Middle-earth history. He sees himself on ships and fortresses near rivers and seas, but it all vanishes as he sees the Eye of Sauron. Maybe this is showing that all the history of Middle-earth has led to this moment. Again, maybe it's showing the gravity of this moment for Frodo again, but very, very strange. Frodo gets nearly pulled into the mirror, but with a warning from Galadriel pops out, and Galadriel says this. "I know what it was that you saw," she said, "for that is also in my mind. Do not be afraid, but do not think that only by singing amid the trees, nor even by the slender arrows of elven bows, is this land of Lothlorien maintained and defended against its enemy. I say to you, Frodo, that even as I speak to you, I perceive the Dark Lord and know his mind, or all of his mind that concerns the elves, and he gropes ever to see me in my thought, but still the door is closed." So She seems to be practicing some kind of mind blocker on Sauron. This is the ultimate ad blocker right here. How she's able to do that, though, is interesting. I think it's because of the ring that she's wearing, but I'm not positive. Again, it's soft magic, so it might be something else that she's doing to keep herself safe in Lothlorien, and maybe she is like putting out this aura of magic around Lothlorien. But it also might be the ring that she's wearing that's keeping them safe, because this is the next section. And sorry for all the reading today, this is just so interesting to me, and this is kind of the juicy part. She lifted up her white arms and spread out her hands toward the east in a gesture of rejection and denial. Erendiel, the evening star, most beloved of the elves, shone clear above. So bright was it that the figure of the elven lady cast a dim shadow on the ground. Its rays glanced upon a ring about her finger. It glittered like polished gold overlaid with silver light, and a white stone in it twinkled as if the even star had come down to rest upon her hand. Frodo gazed at the ring with awe, for suddenly it seemed to him that he understood. Yes, she said, divining his thought. It is not permitted to speak of it, and Elrond could not do so. But it cannot be hidden from the ring-bearer, and one who has seen the eye. Verily, it is in the land of Lorien upon the finger of Galadriel that one of the three remains. This is Nenya, the ring of adamant, and I am its keeper. So, this tells me a few things. First of all, that I think Elrond then is wearing a ring as well. I don't know how he got it, or maybe the book told me this before, but I just never caught it. But Galadriel saying that Elrond could not speak of it heavily implies that he himself is wearing a ring. Galadriel is wearing the second ring, and I don't know, is Círdan wearing the third? But anyway, her ring being the ring of adamant feels like that is the thing that is keeping Lorien safe. And then the most juicy and interesting bit happens here. Frodo bent his head. And what do you wish? He said at last. That what should be, shall be, she answered. The love of the elves and their land and their work is deeper than the deeps of the sea. And their regret is undying and cannot ever wholly be assuaged. Yet they will cast all away rather than submit to Sauron, for they know him now. For the fate of Lothlorien you are not answerable, but only for the doing of your own task. Yet I could not wish, were it of any avail, that the One Ring had never been wrought, or had remained forever lost. You are wise and fearless and fair, Lady Galadriel, said Frodo. I will give you the One Ring if you ask for it. It is too great a matter for me. Galadriel laughed with a sudden clear laugh. Wise the Lady Galadriel may be, she said, yet here she has met her match in courtesy. Gently are you revenging for my testing of your heart at our first meeting. Which, go Frodo for actually doing this and testing her, but her saying that Frodo is now matching her in courtesy and that Frodo is gently revenged for her testing of him on the first meeting is such an interesting thing in the book. It really makes me rethink how Frodo was tested and if Frodo consciously knows what he's doing in testing Galadriel, or if he's just offering the ring because he wants to be done with it and the burden of carrying it. And I know that this essay is already going on for way too long, and I'm sorry, it's just me processing all my thoughts. But she goes into her all like, in place of a Dark Lord, you will have a queen thing, which is bizarre, but also feels like the whole chapter is about skirting the desire of your heart for what is right. It's a perfect chapter about temptation to me, without really showing how temptation works more practically. It's temptation almost in a controlled environment where the stakes seem much lower, but also seem more dangerous because of it. And I don't really understand Galadriel here either. It seems to me that she's almost the most powerful being in Middle-earth, but she has within her this purity and goodness, but those are at war with her power, which is why it would just be so dangerous for her to have the ring in the first place, even though her desire is to have it. And Sam the Simple-Minded sums it up perfectly, and Galadriel gives him an even better answer at the end. I'd wish you'd take his ring. You'd put things to rights. You'd stop them digging up the gaffer and turning him adrift. You make some folk pay for their dirty work. I would, she said. That is how it would begin. But it would not stop with that. Alas. We will not speak more of it. Let us go. So this is all to say I have more questions, but kind of need to process these things out loud in order to help me figure out more. So I am so sorry for how unorganized and chaotic this essay was. But I think I just need to do this out loud every once in a while. And sometimes I'm like, hey, maybe you guys would actually enjoy the process of me thinking through things that I don't really understand yet. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you can give me any small little answers that aren't huge spoilers, please do so. But I think this again points to the genius of Tolkien in leaving this slightly ambiguous. But it also ramps up the tension too, in that I am so curious to keep reading and to see what is going to happen with these characters, that it might give me clarity on the specific situation. Anyway, like the video, subscribe, and become a member if you want to support it, and I'll see you in the next one.